Hello and welcome to the second part of Sports Talk right here on Tameside Radio. I'm Mark Phillip, Head of Sport at Quest Media Network, and coming up in this week's show we've got loads of local sports news and interviews. But we'll start the show this week with Betfred's Peter Spencer, who joined me earlier today to provide the latest odds ahead of England's clash against Scotland in Euro 2020 Group D taking place right now. So without further ado, this is what Peter had to say ahead of England's game against Scotland. Peter, we'll crack on with the Euro 2020 action. So the big one tonight is England against Scotland at Wembley Stadium. A must win for Scotland, and if England do win tonight, then they're through to the last 16. So important for both sides.
Well, it most certainly is. I mean, this is, to say it's eagerly awaited would be an understatement. The Scots are all piling into London today on the trains and planes and whatnot, and the private cars, of course. I don't know why they're all going, because there's going to be limited capacity at Wembley, but perhaps they just want to day out in London, and it's not the greatest weather either. So, but the bottom line is that it's a fantastic occasion. The Battle of Britain, as has been dubbed in the press. I just can't see anything other than an England win. I mean, if Scotland get it, it'll be an almighty shock. I was looking at some of the odds for, say, an England 3-0 win. Well, that's 7-1 with Betfred. Put it the other way around, a Scotland win, 3-0, what do you think that is? 150 to 1. 150 so that's an indication of the difference in quality of the teams. Hand on heart, would any of the Scottish players get an England team? No chance. Not even McTominay.
Not United. No. I was going to mention McTominay.
No, well, I just think that Rice is better, and particularly Henderson in that sort of role. Midfielders, England are particularly strong. For me, I'd bring back Grealish and put him in the team. Don't think it's going to happen. Be great for him because he's the most like Paul Gascoigne, and Gascoigne got that tremendous goal for England against Scotland, didn't he? Yeah. But I just think he'll stick with the same team that he did in the last match against Croatia, because he is pragmatic of all things, Southgate. So I do think he'll stick with that. Maybe switch a little bit in defence with the full-backs.
Well, Maguire's fit now.
Yeah, I don't think they'll bring him back for either. I don't think they'll risk it in a bruising encounter like that. More likely, England do, on form, win the game, get the 3 points, qualify, and then bring in Maguire for the match that kind of doesn't matter that much, the final group game against the Czechs that's next week, isn't it? So that's the most likely scenario with regard to Maguire, I would say.
Yeah.
So tonight, England are 3-10 to beat Scotland. Scotland 10-1. Draw, that's a possibility. 9-2.
Yeah.
On the first goal score, I've just got the details here. Harry Kane, he's 2-1 to score first. Foden 9-2, hit the post in the last match. Rashford the same price, 9-2. Sterling, the hero from the last game against Croatia, he's 5-1. For the Scots, McTominay, he's got some support. He's 33-1 to score first, but 12-1 to score any time. And some teams have already qualified now, haven't they?
Yeah, they certainly have. So the teams that have qualified are Italy, Belgium and the Netherlands. But very quickly, Peter, you mentioned the Czech Republic then. Scotland were beaten by them in their first game. It was a woeful performance, really. And if Scotland are to get anything from tonight's game, they're going to have to improve, aren't they?
Well, the people were... The media were being kind to Scotland. I thought the commentators were as well. Because... that team, they've got players from like Bristol City or Bristol Rovers in the team that they're average at best. On the world rankings, they're in a similar place in Scotland as Jamaica and Romania. So how can you possibly think that Jamaica and Romania would beat England at Wembley? Well, then it's not going to happen. No. So it's not going to happen with Scotland either. I just cannot imagine. The only way Scotland would win that game tonight is if every single player is at 100%, and every single England player is at 50% of their ability. Because every England player would walk straight into that Scottish team. Every England reserve player would walk straight into that Scottish team. So they've got to do it. It would be an almighty upset if Scotland get a win, and it would be an upset if they got a draw. A draw would kind of suit them both, because it'd see England through virtually, and it would help Scotland in the ahead of the last game.
Yeah, well, you're expecting the same starting 11 as England's first game against Croatia. Do you not think Jack Grealish deserves a start?
Yeah, he's a jack in the box. He's a supreme player. It's unfortunate that England are so strong in those midfield positions. Is he going to drop Mason Mount or Foden to bring in Grealish? Probably not. I think Grealish is a great option off the bench if it's not going right, because he could come in and change things around. But you're right, I would have started with Grealish. In fact, I would have started with Grealish instead of Sterling in the last match, but I'm glad they didn't, because it was Sterling who scored.
Yep, there we go then. So Gareth Southgate's decision to start Raheem Sterling was justified, but looking back on the result earlier this week, ended France 1, Germany 0. Paul Pogba getting a Man of the Match award, creating the assist for that goal. Why does he turn up for France but very rarely for United?
Well, I thought the journalists are bound to ask him that exact question, and they did. And I saw bits about his response. But generally speaking, it's because he thinks he's restricted in what he does when he plays for United. He's got to have responsibility, defensive responsibilities, whereas when he's playing for France, they more or less say, do what Gazza did for England. Just do what you want, as long as you influence the game. And he most certainly did. He had a tremendous performance against a very, very disciplined German team.
Yeah. Do you think the big performances from players such as Pogba in these big tournaments, do you think it increases the price tag, regardless of how poorly they might perform for their club?
I think you know the answer to that one. The answer is yes, it definitely does. So good news for United in that respect. But I think Pogba will stay at United. I think he'll battle on. I mean, there aren't many clubs bigger than Manchester United, who've got, and certainly in the present climate, who've got the money to prize him away.
Well, like I said before, Italy, Belgium and the Netherlands have secured their passage to the last 16, and England can join them tonight with victory over Scotland. But Peter, how has that affected the outright odds for the competition?
Well, quite dramatically. England have slipped now to 4 favourites from being favourites. England are 6-1 to win the competition outright. France, even though they've not yet qualified, but on the back of that fantastic Pogba-inspired victory over Germany, they're 7-2 now to win Euro 2020 outright. There's 7-2 for that to win it outright. Italy 11-2. They've surprised a few teams with some convincing 3-0 victories, 2 3-0 victories. Belgium, well, I was surprised at their starting price, but anyway, they come in now to 6-1. Portugal 15-2, still relying to a great extent on Ronaldo. And as you say, the Netherlands, they're also qualified, and they're 12-1 with Betfred to win the competition outright.
Brilliant stuff. Well, I for one can't wait for tonight's action at Wembley. It's England versus Scotland, but very quickly, Peter, let's take a look at some Super League action, because Warrington beat St Helens recently, probably one of the shock results of the season so far.
Yeah, it was the biggest shock of all teams and all fixtures in the Betfred Super League so far this season. For Warrington to battle so strongly, fantastic defensive performance. Steve Price said that's what he wanted to improve when he first came to Warrington, and he most certainly did it, because that was a tremendous performance to beat St Helens 6-2. St Helens, they're still favourites to win the grand final. They're 2-1, but Warrington, who are now 4th in the table, are 5-1 to win the grand final. Wigan 5-2. Catalans, still the dark horses, they're 9-2. And we've got a match on Friday night. Huddersfield are entertaining Salford. Salford struggling like mad this season. Salford are 3-1 to pull off a shock win to Huddersfield. Huddersfield 2-7 with Betfred.
Brilliant stuff. Well, there is a feast of football action and Super League action over the coming days, and if you do fancy a floor on any of the fixtures, Betfred stores are now open, but of course you can also bet online and via their app. Well, our thanks once again go to Betfred's Peter Spencer for providing the latest odds on a number of markets. Well, Mosley Cycle Racing Team's Kira Byland has been included in the Queen's Birthday Honours and has been awarded with a British Empire Medal. The 23-year-old, an international cyclist and 6-time gold medalist in the Special Olympics, has received the prestigious honour due to inspiring children in schools and for her services to sport. Kira, who joined Special Olympics GB at the age of 16, had previously suffered bullying in school to the point where she self-harmed and felt lonely. However, she's since become a Special Olympics GB board member and has turned her life around through the power of cycling. I spoke to Kira at the Tameside Cycle Circuit a few weeks ago to speak to her about her career so far, the benefits of Mossley Cycle Racing Team and the power of exercise for mental and physical health.
I first competed in the Special Olympics in 2014 at a local event here, and the Special Olympics is for people with learning disabilities. And then in 2014, after the local event, I was asked if I wanted to go to Los Angeles the year after to represent Great Britain. I did, I competed, I came home with 3 gold medals, and then I had the opportunity in 2019 to go and defend my titles. I did, and I have 6 Olympic gold medals.
Yep.
I've also competed for INAS, and INAS is for learning disabilities again, but that's more of the elite end though. But Special Olympics is more about divisioning and that like-to-like competition. That's the difference between that. So I first found out about Mossley when I used to come down on a Tuesday racing, and I didn't really know about them until I met Fred, and then Fred told me about the Mossley squad. And it's not just about out and out racing now, it's more about inclusion, but also some people just want to ride the bike for a bit of fun. Some people want to ride the bike to actually get fit, stay healthy. And then yes, you do have that outlook of being able to compete as well. So Mossley has actually adapted its coaching ways. So instead of being out on the circuits, unfortunately, like you said, because of COVID, we were not allowed. So we did online Zoom sessions. So we did 2 twice a week, so 1 on a Wednesday and then 1 on a Saturday. And it was great because the coaches, when they're here, they usually have to stand still, get cold. But with the coaching online, they stayed fit as well, because you could join in and coach. We had music as well. It was fun, enthusiastic. Everybody loved it. And since COVID has kind of ceased a little bit, we're back here on a Wednesday, but we still run them on a Saturday.
Excellent stuff. And what's funding like for the sport then? Obviously, you're competing at a high level. Is that funded well compared to other sports?
So, no, to answer that question. So for the Special Olympics, they do not get government funding, unlike the Paralympics. And we do get confused between the Special Olympics and the Paralympics.
Right.
There is a clear difference between that.
Brilliant. And just finally, if anyone's watching this video and they're interested in cycling, regardless of their age or ability, would you urge them to come down and get involved?
100%, I would. I'd say everybody, please do come down if this is something you want to do. It's sociable, we're all friends here, we all put the effort in to stay fit and healthy, and we just have a really good time.
Well, that was Mossley Cycle Racing Team's Kira Byland talking about the importance of exercise and her career so far riding with Special Olympics GB. Well, we've got some cricket news now, and Mottram Cricket Club have thanked players, family members and the wider community for turning out in force over the bank holiday weekend to raise funds for Maggie's Cancer Centre in Oldham. In a bid to raise funds for the Cancer Support Centre, where several of the club's members have been treated, Mottram put on a day of fun in the sun with stalls and cricket-related games, including the longest throw and the fastest bowler, as well as a tombola, raffle prizes and a tasty barbecue. I spoke to Mottram's James Dadge about the initiative, the importance of establishing a thriving junior section at the club, how the first team are coping during their first proper season in the Greater Manchester Cricket League, and how the club's new groundsman has caught the eye with his wickets and outfield this season.
We've had a couple of members actually who've unfortunately had to use the facilities at Maggie's recently over the last 2 or 3 years, and we've got one member now, Andrew Norris. He's one of the parents of one of our under-11 players, and he's got the double whammy of suffering cancer and also Parkinson's. He's been under quite a lot of treatment recently, so Andy himself was quite, we were discussing things one evening, and we sort of decided that we'd like to put a fundraiser on for Maggie's, which is a sort of a respite / cafe / sort of breakout quiet area attached to the Christie, and we were hoping we could do something last season, but obviously because of the pandemic, we were unable to do it. So as soon as the rules permitted, we thought we'd try and put something on this season. Because there hasn't been much of a fundraising activity going on at all, really, I guess, and B, as soon as everyone could congregate safely, we thought we'd try and put something on. So that's what we did, and it went really well. So we had we challenged it's sort of junior based, really. So we had various junior teams trying to put on various fundraising activities on the afternoon. So we had some of the lads, they did a longest throw competition. We had a speed gun challenge. We had a beat the keeper challenge, and we had a barbecue on. We had some fun tournaments on as well, and we raised. I think we haven't done the final total yet, Mark. So apologies for that. I can sort of try and find it out for you tonight if you like. But we sort of hit the £1,500 mark on the day, so we were very very pleased with that. Quite a lot of people attended. We had a really good day with the weather, so we were very lucky in that respect.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. I mean, I know cancer must be quite a hard-hitting thing at the club, because I know Michael and Steve and Scott, and I know their dad died of a similar kind of thing, didn't they?
He did, yeah.
So does that kind of tie into it as well?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Richard was is a good friend of mine as well, and he's very sadly missed. So it'll be coming up for the 2-year anniversary, won't it, this August, I think. So that was definitely in our mind. And Jane and the two boys were heavily involved in the day as well. So Mike was on the PA system putting music on and doing a little bit of commentary here and there, which is very funny. And Steve helped by doing all of the sort of logistics for the sound system and the PA and stuff, which obviously was close to Richard's heart, I guess. Yeah. And Jane manned the tombola. We had Andrew's family, Andrew Norris's family. They were heavily involved as well. So his wife, was on the raffle and running around like a mad lady, trying to rack up as much many contributions as possible. So yeah, so we had a really good day. Yeah. So it is. Yeah. I mean, what we're trying to do as a club is. We're working really hard to try and build the juniors, especially. I suppose we're quite a small club, really, but we like to think we're sort of quite community facing as well, I guess. So if there is something that our membership are sort of concerned about or looking for, something that means a lot to them, we all like to think we rally around and help out. And that's one of the ethos, I guess, of the club, and so it's good to do. It is really good to do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when members are affected by cancer.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, to touch upon, I suppose, matters on the pitch. We've just touched upon the juniors, but what about the first team and second team this season? They're both in the Great Manchester Cricket League. Is it the debut season?
So last season was technically our debut season, and the GMCL ran a regionalised competition, as you know. But this season is our sort of full entry, I guess, into the league as it's run properly. And I think it's fair to say that Steph Fielding, the first team captain, has done an excellent job. If we had this conversation 2 weeks ago, I'd be reporting an unbeaten first team season, but unfortunately they've just lost out in the last 2 matches, which is unfortunate. But I'm sure this weekend he'll be looking to get back onto the winning road. We're third in the division at the moment, pushing for promotion. We're in the top 3 go up. Yeah. So I think that's that's testament to Steph and the senior players in particular, because we don't have a pro or any paid amateurs.
Right.
And the team is a very young team. I think the average age would probably be around 26, 27, around that area. So it's lads who've all come up through the junior system as well. Mostly with I think probably with 2 or 3 exceptions, they are lads who've all played, age group cricket for Mottram, 5 and 10 years ago, which is really good to see.
Yeah.
The second team have probably found it a bit more of a struggle. I think they may have won. I can't remember. I think they've won 3 out of their 8 fixtures, so sort of mid-table at the moment. But yeah, they're sort of finding their feet in a division that's probably stronger than the second team cricket that we were playing previously in the Derbyshire and Cheshire League. But yeah, the Greater Manchester League, every team's been very friendly and welcoming, and the pitches we played on have been a good standard, and the cricket has been of a good standard, played in the right spirit, and I think it was very sad to leave the Derbyshire and Cheshire League. It was a decision really the membership wanted to make, primarily because of the junior setup, because the Derbyshire and Cheshire don't have many junior fixtures, and with the GMCL we go right through to September with the juniors, and so we really wanted to get the juniors as much cricket as possible. So that was one of the primary reasons why we moved into the GMCL.
Yeah.
The juniors are doing really well. We've now got enough juniors to run 2 under-9s, under 11s, under 13s, under 15s, and under 18s, and all the teams are doing, as anticipated, they're doing very well. And our trainings on Friday night is becoming ever more popular. We regularly get 60 to 65 kids running around, practicing and playing on a Friday night, and the parents enjoy themselves having a drink on the patio. So yeah, it's good times at Mottram at the moment. I think generally cricket, it has this area. I'm not originally from this area. I'm from the southwest, and it's amazing the number of cricket clubs that are within a 1 mile 2 mile radius of where you live up here. It has such a great tradition of cricket, and I know some clubs are struggling for numbers at the moment, and our best wishes go out, because as Mottram, as great as it is to run, we've got 4 senior sides now and the junior sides that I just mentioned. But I know other clubs are struggling for numbers at the moment. Some are anyway. And it's such a shame that cricket's not played in the schools anymore.
I was going to say, what do you put that down to, though? Like you said, other clubs are struggling to attract numbers. What would you put that down to in this day and age?
I think it's down to 2 things. I think the first thing is a big thing, and that's it's not played in schools anymore. So it is played at, there are some games and tournaments that go on at junior schools, but senior schools, I think only Aldenshaw Grammar and West Hill in Tameside play cricket. Which is a really great shame, and so that leads on to the second point, and that is that the clubs have to pick up all the junior work basically through volunteering, etc. But if you're somebody who's never come into contact with cricket, it's not on it's not on mainstream television anymore to any great extent. And so if your family aren't involved in cricket, it's not played at school, you won't come in, you won't get to have a go at it. Which is a real shame, I think, because it's a great game. It's really, it tests a number of things for children, and you don't have, it's a game where you can play it for enjoyment as much as you can play it to be a competitor as well. Yeah. And I think, quite often, parents will or children will be looking to excel. And I don't think that's necessarily right. For sport is there to be enjoyed by everybody. So you can. What I'm sort of clumsily saying is that cricket's a sport where you can sort of find your level, and you can play for enjoyment as much as you can to play for somebody like a club like Hyde, who are a fantastic ECB Premier club, a flagship club who do very well, or you can play village cricket, in your adulthood and everything just for enjoyment. And I think that's why clubs are struggling, is because there's not the willingness of or the budget or whatever the constraints are for schools to put the game on. So a huge, generations have been lost. Certainly since the 1980s, I think you're seeing a decline now because fewer people are playing it, fewer families are, involved, and so fewer kids don't know about it. So fewer kids will want to play it.
I mean, a lot of the traditionalists prefer the longer version of the game, but given the times that we're in, I mean, we've got the 100 coming up this season. 2020's really excelled in the past few years. I mean, it's probably been going for about 15 years now on 2020. What's 2020 like at the club? Do you find that more people come down to watch that than on a Saturday afternoon of the longer version of the game?
We still get quite a fair few watching on a Saturday. We have T20 nights, a Friday nights, and I know that the Derbyshire and Cheshire also do a Thursday night 2020 for seniors. And we get a good crowd. You do get people who probably don't come down to a Saturday afternoon to watch the game. Everyone recognises that it's a faster paced game. Everyone knows it's going to be done in, say, a 2-hour, 3-hour set. And so, I think it's been brilliant for the game in terms of trying to raise the profile. And of course, the 100, I think, is hoping to take it a stage further. And, there's a number of, new initiatives and innovations that cricket is doing and going through, the ECB are pushing through, which they've always done. It wasn't so long ago, decades ago, that we only had, first-class cricket was 4 days, and there was hardly any one-day cricket. And now one-day cricket is very much the forefront, and Test cricket and county cricket, first-class cricket is sort of a completely different set of circumstances. Certainly, the 100, I think, will in August we'll be able to do something with the kids at the club as well, and trying to get some involvement with the Manchester Originals. We've got Alice Dyson, who's contracted to the Manchester Originals ladies team, so we're going to go down en masse and support her in one of the double header games that they'll have at Old Trafford, and hopefully introduce more kids, more families, more people to the game that way. I think it's important to try and support these new initiatives that the ECB are running. But I think T20's been good to introduce new people to the game. Yeah, certainly, Mark. Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. And just to go back to a point you made earlier, very quickly, you said you've not got an overseas or a professional this season. Is that just an implication of COVID, or is that something the club are going to continue with long term? Are you looking to progress these juniors instead of employing a professional?
I think you probably have to ask the first team captain about that. My view is, I think we've done it this season. We couldn't have done it this season. I think next season there's consideration is going on at the moment. You've got the financials to consider. You've also got the team dynamic to consider. If promotion's secured, whether having a professional might upset some of the existing team makeup. But I think certainly if we do get promoted, we would probably need to get a professional in, and I think selecting that professional, it'll be the clubs. Certainly in recent memory, I don't think they've had a pro. So it would be a big step for the club to take. So selections would of that pro would be long, a very big question to answer. But I think if we do, my own personal view, not the club's view, is that if we get promoted in the first team division, then we would need a professional.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. And finally, very quickly, I've noticed that the pitch is looking immaculate this season. And it's probably about a year and a half ago now. I can't remember who I was speaking to. It was during the first lockdown, actually. So probably about 14 months ago. You were about to hire a full-time groundsman. Is that still a thing? Is that going on?
Yeah. So we previously had a chap called John Marsden who did the ground. He kept it to an absolutely immaculate standard. And we've got Ashley Price now looks after it for us, and we've engaged him to look after it, and he's paid to do so. And it's looking great. I mean, John Marsden put in a tremendous amount of work, and I think he's probably been associated with the club for probably 60 years, so he's well deserved a break. And Ashley has continued his John's fantastic work, and we are as a membership incredibly proud of the ground, and it does look great, especially from the Mottram Church, from the high up there looking down. It looks absolutely wonderful.
Well, that was Mottram Cricket Club's James Dadge talking about the latest developments at the club. Well, Glossop Tennis Club is home to a dedicated ladies team, a team who embody determination and an incredible sense of drive. Now, a recent report provided by healthcare specialists revealed that most people avoid physical activity altogether at the age of 65. However, when there are so many benefits to regular exercise, it's clear how essential it is for older people to stay active, ensuring a long and healthy life. Now, Val Oakley has been playing tennis for 30 years, having been chosen as captain of Glossop Tennis Club's ladies team for the last 20 of those years. Quest Media Network's Katie Catherall spoke to Val about all things tennis and the importance of pursuing sport in life.
So when I moved up here and joined Glossop Tennis Club, I sort of learnt as I went along. Didn't have any coaching, so I've just grown up with Glossop Tennis Club.
You're the captain of the ladies team, so what is involved within your role?
I have to look at the fixtures and get the teams out for all the fixtures, home or away, organise transport. We all pay match fees so that we can cover the cost of the balls that we play with at home, so I have to collect that in as well. If any of the team can't play, I need to find reserves. That's very difficult though, because we're a very, very small squad, we're a very small club, and there aren't many lady members. So I've been captain now for about 20 years, and in all that time I've only had maybe 8 ladies available, and we need 6 to play a match. So it's not been easy getting teams out every week.
I think your latest achievement was the fact that you guys won the South West Manchester League.
We've always been mid-table, apart from a couple of seasons when I just had no players at all and we went down into the second division. And then in 2019, astonishingly, we had quite a settled team. Everybody could play most of the matches, and we won the division. So we won the whole league, got a beautiful trophy for it, and we get to keep it for 2 years because, of course, we didn't play last summer because of COVID.
And obviously you played against some well-funded teams as well, obviously, and that's a massive achievement for Glossop, I can imagine.
That's right. There's a lot of big clubs. They're probably allied to sports centres, so they have cricket clubs there, and for example, Sale, we play at Brooklands, and they've got cricket, lacrosse, hockey, all sorts of things going on there. A big clubhouse with facilities, restaurant and showers and stuff like that. So they've obviously got a lot of money available to them, and we don't have that. So I think we've done really well.
And have you got any future plans for yourself or for the team at Glossop?
Well, we just want to keep going as long as we can. We're all in our 60s and 70s, all 6 of us, and I think we'd like to just keep going as long as health permits. We're all very enthusiastic still. 5 of the team play for another club as well, in a different league. So we're all trying to keep fit as we get into old age.
Do you think it's important for people and women to play sport and have this thing to take time away from work or life and actually have a sport to focus on?
I think it's very, very important, and especially in times like now, it's something to take you right away from any problems. You get fresh air, you get exercise. Obviously, it's very good for your fitness and your health, your health all round. Plus, it's a social thing. Get to meet and chat with our friends away from work. But I think the biggest thing is, again, in reference to us getting older, hopefully we're going to prolong our health as long as we can.
Katie also spoke to Gritstone CrossFit's Charlotte Coburn, who's been chosen to represent Great Britain in the CrossFit Games. What's more special is the fact it's the first year they've run a competition with adaptive athletes like Charlotte in mind. Here's what Charlotte had to say to Katie earlier this week.
So I've done it for about nearly 2 years now. I just love that it's all it's always something different. It's the same sort of movements, but it's always challenging and different. And then when you get good at some things, it makes it even harder.
And you train at Gritstone, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and do you enjoy getting on with the team there? Do you get on with everyone well?
Yeah, I don't think I would have come so much if I didn't get along with everyone that well. And
you finished 5th in the world and you're now attending the CrossFit Games. How do you feel about that?
I actually can't believe it. It's something that I've always dreamed of, but I didn't think it was ever possible. So it's actually amazing. I can't believe it. I'm still in shock about it.
And what are you expecting of the games when you do get there?
I can't wait to meet all the other athletes and stuff, but just show what I can do and just basically be a good representation for the UK and stone.
And obviously it's in Madison, so are you nervous about travel at all, or do you feel quite confident they'll go ahead?
I'm actually quite looking forward to it because obviously we've not been anywhere for a while, so it'll be good.
And I heard Gritstone are fundraising for the trip as well. How are they doing this, and how are they getting the funds together to fundraise for this for you?
So we're going to set up a Just Giving page, and we're just going to see how it goes from there. Hopefully members will help support, and hopefully other people in the local area.
And when I spoke to someone from Gritstone, they said that this is the first year that they've ran an event with a disability in mind. And what does that mean to you? Is that a massive thing to be able to actually have an event where this has been considered for the first time?
Yeah, definitely. It's I think it's a big step forward for CrossFit. Just adding this in, I think it's needed to happen. Basically, it's obviously the first year when they did the Paralympics. It's like CrossFit's version of that. So I'm hoping that we'll do it justice, and it'll be able to inspire other people growing up with say a limb difference like myself or other disabilities that can do CrossFit, and they can go and train the same as other people. So this was a big goal of mine. I'm so glad I've got there. It's literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm also doing stuff to do with rowing as well, so maybe even going to the Paralympics one day.
And finally on Sports Talk, I spoke to Duckingfield Town Football Club's Danny Fox about his position at the club, how they've coped during the past 15 months and their future plans.
Well, I've always been involved with Ducky doing the junior section for quite a few years, and then obviously 3 years ago I was approached by the club to do sort of a development squad because we had a lot of good juniors coming through the ranks at Ducky. So we sort of put the development squad together, and we also sort of went in the open age in the Manchester League, which is quite a good level of football. We had a lot of sort of 17, 18-year-olds who sort of went straight into man's football, playing against some big lads, but they caught really well. So now we've decided as a club to go to our next level and go into sort of the North West Youth Alliance League under 21s and take the juniors to the next level, which will put us sort of competing against sort of your local big semi-pro clubs, your Curzon Ashtons, your Stalybridge Celtics, your Avros, your Abbey Ayres and stuff like that. So for sort of the size of Club Ducky Town, it's a really sort of good moment to get to that stage.
Yeah, and you talk about the size of Duckingfield Town Football Club. Do you think this has been a long time coming? Do you think this should have been done years ago? I mean, what stopped the club from actually making this step up?
Yeah, possibly. Within sort of the club for Ducky Town, we don't have much surplus money to go with paying coaches and stuff, so it's done on sort of volunteers. So there's some good coaches now at Ducky involved in the adult section that we can take it to this next level.
So you said you're going to be competing against some of the semi-pro sides like Abbey Ayres, Avro. What is the club's long-term aim then? For a lot of these clubs, they're happy to sit where they are in that kind of level of football. What are Ducky's ultimate ambitions, would you say?
Yeah, our long-term goal is to sort of get the club to semi-pro status, which obviously the costs involved are a lot more than the standard we're at. For one, we need floodlights, etc. So, if we can pull some good sponsors through, and we've got the youth section that can back it up now with the sort of the first team, the reserves, the development squad that'll be playing Saturdays, and the next stage is to take our under-21s into the North West Youth Development League, which will be a really good step up for the club.
So roughly speaking, financially, how much does it cost to run a club like Duckingfield Town, say just for one age level? A season, that is. For one age level, sort of, the first team, say at Ducky, obviously you've got linesmen, you've got linesmen, you've got referees, you've got running costs. But to run sort of the first team at the club, you're probably looking at around £6,000-7,000 a season just to run the first team. Yeah, a lot of money that, and I mean, if you do want to make this step up, a lot of these semi-professional clubs have pretty, the decent grounds, it has to be said. I mean, what's Ducky's current situation with their ground? The last time I spoke to Adam, they were competing next to iTrain, is that right, in Ducky?
Yeah, we sort of, we have the main ground that's at Woodhams Park. We obviously have our own clubhouse with the bar and everything, which we're hoping to get the bar a lot busy. We've struggled through COVID because we've not been in a position where we can we can get people into the clubhouse that are spending money which will help the club. So it's been a tough sort of couple of years through COVID. Obviously the club with people involved has been strong enough to sort of stand it, and obviously we're ready to go again now once sort of COVID can do, you know what I mean? So, you know, the drinks at the club are not expensive. You know, we do get a lot of people that, you know, watching the first team on a Saturday, which is a great day because you can have a couple of beers, watch a game of football, which is free of charge. We don't charge to get in to watch the game. And at the end of the day, we are sort of one standard down from sort of semi-pro status in the Manchester League.
Yeah, and I mean, COVID's had a massive detrimental impact on a lot of clubs, even some of the bigger clubs. I mean, for yourself, in terms of recruiting numbers, has it had an impact, or have you found that lads still want to get out and play despite the disruption?
You know, we've lads want to sort of get out and get playing. You know, we've got some good players at the club. We've got some very good, you know, I'd say an under-21s side that will be putting together ready to compete against sort of the so-called bigger clubs at our level, you know, which is really has been the last 3 or 4 years, which is sort of instrumental behind sort of is allowing us to get to this under-21s level in this youth development league against, you know, your sort of Sturby Celtics, your Abiers and your Avros, you know, which around here are sort of classed as, you know, the big football clubs, if that makes sense, away from your professional clubs.
Yeah, and if anyone's listening to this and they're not currently signed up to a club, what days do Ducky train on, and are you willing to take on more members?
Yeah, we're always looking for sort of good quality players who've experienced sort of decent level of football, 17, 18, 16-year-olds, ready to come through, ready for the Under-21s Development League. We will be holding a trial. That date is just waiting to be sort of confirmed. But I usually training nights through pre-season will be Tuesday and Thursdays. Tuesday night will obviously be at Ducky Town on the main pitch, and Thursdays will obviously be at Ashley on the brand new 4G pitch up there.
Well, I'm afraid that's it for Sports Talk. However, you can keep up to date with the latest local sports news on our website, questmedianetwork.co.uk.